Welcome back. Hello there. Today, we're going to break one of my rules. My general rule, um, I don't do unboxings without having seen the thing. But I've seen the movies. But I don't like to do it without having at least, the restoration's great, or blah, blah, blah. The wonderful documentary, great audio commentary, etc., etc., etc. We're going to break that rule for this because it's a wee bit special. It's the Arrow exclusive store version of Bruce Lee at Golden Harvest, to give it its full name, with the rather wonderful colour scheme, which I think my friend Richard referred to the yellow with the black stripe as Kill Bill like. Safe to say, not the biggest Bruce Lee fan. So, let's crack on. So again, this is the 4K Arrow exclusive version. There's the regular retail version, which has a red cover, which I didn't like as much, but I liked the inside of it more. It had a nice painted picture. But anyway, I wish you could Frankenstein it, Can I have this box, but those inside covers? However, I've started with a surgical incision, so let's just see what we've got. Now, I think they've said this is limited to, I don't know the specific of the Arrow Store version, but they've said the overall set's limited to 10,000, but there's a Blu-ray version and two 4K versions, so bear that in mind. Basically, if you want it, steal money if you don't have it. I've done it before, it's perfectly legit. So here we go. So it comes off like that, but there's also a belly band. No, it's a full backing card. Give me all the detail here. Somebody was kind enough to mention that because the audio quality, until my new microphone arrives to replace the broken one, I have changed. You might notice I put it in a little kind of lens, so it looks a bit rounded. I quite liked that. But then I sharpened up the focus to take away the dreamlike quality, because I thought I like the dreamlike quality of the video, but if you have that on top of this bad audio, it just comes off really bad. And I need nobody's help looking really bad. So this is one of your hard boxes. It is de rigueur, as we know, when you have a hard box, to prove that you're not lying about these things by going. So yeah, so let's have a look at the unadorned box then. I don't want to go over the goodies. Right, so there's your artwork up close. There we go, son. That's you. Brilliant. Look at that. I'm so popular. I can't even do a video for 2 minutes without my phone ping, 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 ping. Right, and that's how it looks. It's just sitting there. So let's just go one by one. The Big Boss. Okay, so they're in these indicator-like digipacks. And look, I've got an Arrow postcard for Carlito's Way. It doesn't actually say Carlito's Way on it, but we know that's the poster for Carlito's Way. And then some artwork, an original poster. So this is the Big Boss. The 1983 version, newly restored by Arrow, and newly restored Mandarin, English and Cantonese, English mono, two brand new feature commentaries, one by David Desser, one by Brandon Bentley, two alternative versions, the English export cut, which has got the rare alternate English dub track, some of it's in Mandarin, and the 100-minute US theatrical cut. A new documentary produced and presented by Matt Routledge, exploring the original filming locations, newly uncovered, deleted and extended scenes with commentary by Bentley, the not quite biggest boss, video essay by Bentley talking about the lost scenes, famously the saw in the head. There's stills of that. So we know at some point they filmed something where somebody gets a saw through the head, but it's the footage has been lost and not recovered. Archive footage with Liao Wing, Tung Wai, they're the stunt folk. Bruce Lee versus Peter Thomas, talking about the music and the battle for the music. Alternate credits, trailer gallery, including a Before the Big Boss reel and the trailer for Big Boss Part 2, The Lost Sequel. So there you go, that's disc 1, The Big Boss. Yeah, I like that artwork. Maybe I was a wee bit harsh on this artwork, because in the flesh it's actually really nice. Here's the Mandarin cut, rather excitingly. For decades, The Big Boss has only been available on home video in a version 10 minutes shorter than the one that first stunned audiences in Hong Kong way back in 1971. Now at last, the missing material has been reintegrated into the film, scanned from the last known surviving 35mm film print of the original theatrical cut. You've, never seen The Big Boss like this before. Well, unless you were there in 1971. Don't patronise me, Arrow. I might have been there in Hong Kong in 1971. So you get the 110-minute cut, as mentioned, a new essay by Will Offit profiling the English dub actors for Big Boss, Fist of Fury and Way of the Dragon, and a raw scan of the Mandarin cut, that's in 1080p, so that's Blu-ray quality rather than full 4K. Fist of Fury, I always remember this is the one with the slicked back here. So nice artwork there. Oh, did I show you the inside of the Big Boss 2? Well, this 2, not the Big Boss 2. There you go. So, Fist of Fury is the second film for Golden Harvest, even bigger hit than the Big Boss, and Chen Zhen has been played subsequently, the character here, by Jet Li and Donnie Yen. So set in the early 20th century in Shanghai. Sorry, I'm too busy reading the back there. 4K, blah 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 blah. Alternate English export cut, viewing option with different opening and closing credits with seamless branching. Newly restored Mandarin, English and Cantonese mono audio. Bruce Lee didn't speak both Mandarin and Cantonese. He only spoke Canton. Newly translated English subtitles, 2 new feature commentaries by the same gentleman, Legend of the Dragon, a newly filmed 82-minute overview of Lee's life and career by Tony Raines. He's brilliant, I love Tony Raines. Visions of Fury, a new featurette on Bruce Lee's collaboration with Golden Harvest, specifically with Lo Wai, the director, who was wonderful with Bruce and absolutely atrocious with Jackie Chan for the most part. New Fist Part 2 Fist, clunky title. A new video essay by Bentley looking at the 2 competing sequels. That explains it. It's a portmanteau of the names, shot simultaneously in 1976. As we know, that would be early, what we now call Bruceploitation. Alternate credit sequences, archive interviews, trailer gallery, etc., etc. And there's your poster for that. Right. You behave. You behave. Next up, The Way of the Dragon. Let's get out some cover for that. So this is after his 2-picture deal with Golden Harvest expired. This was him into the new part where he was able to write and direct if he wanted as well. Got a lot more pull. He wasn't just that guy from the Green Hornet anymore. He was international superstar Bruce Lee. He only got to complete 1 film, which is this, under that banner. But hey, he's a bit of a naive country lad in this one. It's maybe my favourite. It's maybe my favourite of a kind of film. There's better action in the other ones, but as an actual film, I think this holds up best of all of them, to be honest. 4K, blah 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 blah, of the Hong Kong theatrical and the Japanese cut, Mandarin, Cantonese, and English. I'll try and skip the stuff that's the same on everyone. New feature commentaries, one by Frank Zheng and Michael Worth. Again, Brandon Bentley does one. He's just the expert, so why wouldn't you just let him do the whole shebang? The Way of the Camera, a new documentary looking at the filmmaking of Bruce Lee, so not just of his films, but his actual filmmaking. That doesn't get talked about much. Bruce the Auteur. And his fighting methods in this debut, with all sorts of people, including some of the people who've done commentaries and featurettes already. But C. Courtney Joyner joins them here. Joyner joins. John Saxon's even in that. I was in Nightmare on Elm Street. Newly filmed interview with Melissa Longo. The Scottish Soldier Meets the Dragon, a filmed interview with on-set observer John Young. I could have been him. Newly recorded scene commentary by Thug actor Pete Schwier. Archival interviews. A Bruceploitation trailer reel, there we go, so Bruceploitation. One of the tragedies, obviously, of Bruce Lee's life, amongst many. There's only one interview with him that's of any note, from American TV, not even a big American TV thing, from 1971, in black and white. It's fascinating, but it's just a shame that there's all these archival interviews and hardly any of it's going to have Bruce talking himself. Right, so here's the elephant in the room, Enter the Dragon. Warner Brothers own Enter the Dragon. They don't own any of these other films, but they own this. So here's Enter the Dragon. This is Blu-ray only, even if you get the 4K set. The reason for that, Warners themselves are going to be releasing Enter the Dragon 4K on its own, as a standalone and as a collector's edition. So I wouldn't even bother going through the extras for this, because it is exactly the same disc as the 40th anniversary Bruce Lee. In fact, I bet you anything, knowing Warner Brothers' past records, like Jason and the Argonauts with the Ray Harryhausen sets, that if you load this up, it'll be the same menu and everything. However, it's Enter the Dragon. It's got John Saxon with hair. So yeah, I was in Nightmare on Elm Street. Game of Death, rather ironically named. So what a horrible, horrible story goes with this, that it's been Frankenstein so much to complete it and then make sequels and have stand-ins. The original Bruceploitation was probably Game of Death itself, so it was completed 5 years after Bruce died. But it's got a score by John Barry, so let's go through what we get here. International cut and the Japanese cut. English mono, blah, 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 blah. Feature commentary by Brandon Bentley and Mike Leader. The Song I'm Singing Tomorrow, which is a newly filmed interview with Colleen Camp. Deleted and extended scenes from the Chinese language version with alternate endings. Some of that's going to be in SD, just because of the elements that are available. Behind the scene footage, as featured in Bruce Lee the Legend, a documentary. Archival interviews with Bob Insanto and Bob Wall, Dan Insanto, excuse me. Rare pre-production sales featurette from '76 with new commentary by Michael Worth and Andre Morgan. Fight scene dailies directed by Sammo Hung. Whatever happened to him? Good old Sammo. Location featurette from 2013, and then more Bruceploitation, and then Robert Klaus at Golden Harvest trailer reel. So yeah, there's the iconic Kill Bill outfit itself. But yeah, Game of Death. And then we have Game of Death alternate versions, plural. For the '78 release of Game of Death, a very different version was prepared for China, both Cantonese and Mandarin audiences. So it has the greenhouse fight with Casanova Wong, which Sammo Hung directed that part. For the first time in UK home video, it's been made available. 2 alternate viewing options, hours of archival interviews. So, archival interview with Casanova Wong from 2001 on his relationship with Samo and Lee's influence. Must be weird. You're in a Bruce Lee film, but you don't know Bruce Lee at all. You never met him. You didn't start working on the project till after he died. Archival featurettes on Lee's life and impact, the Hong Kong connection, Bruce Lee remembered, Legacy of the Dragon, Dragon Rising, the Grandmaster, the Dragon. So loads of these have been released on other things, but this kind of compiles it. With so we've got Sammo Hung talking about Donnie Yen, William Chung, loads more. And then archival interviews with Robert Lee, Phoebe Lee, Pat Johnson, George Lee, Gene LaBelle, the stunt guy, and inspiration for Cliff in Once Upon a Time in America. Van Williams, who of course was the Green Hornet, along with Bruce as Kato. Joe Terranova, Jeff Amada, Linda Palmer, Fred Weintraub, such familiar name, and this is essential stuff. Feature runtime's 90 minutes, but there's going to be a lot more in terms of the archival stuff. The Final Game of Death. Bruce was working on one more film, The Game of Death. Only a third of the project was finished, as I just said there, and much of the footage sat in the vaults. Lee's original storyline is very different to the 78 film of the same name. As I mentioned, they kind of just made up most of the film. So it's going to have quite a different storyline. Arrow Video is thrilled to present all 2 hours of Lee's original footage. This is the disc a lot of us are just looking for, including the long-lost presumed log fight between Dan Insanto and Chen Yao, with a new narration that explains Bruce's concepts and goals, aims, as well as the project's origins and of course tragic ending. So again, all 2 hours of the dailies that Bruce shot. Game of Death revisited about the earlier attempt from the 2001, where they tried to do a reconstruction of the Bruce version. Super 8 footage of Dan Inosanto with the nunchuckers. Archival interview with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar from 76. And then Bruce looking like he's in an Adidas advert. And more Game of Death, I don't know. Well, 78's Game of Death, Game of Death 2. This is your real birth of Bruceploitation. Yeah. It's almost a bit controversial to include this in a Bruce Lee set, because it is, it wasn't anything to do with him. It's doubles and it's, yeah. Anyways, from the makers of fan faves Drunken Master and Snake in the Eagle's Shadow, including Yan Wu Ping, it's a gonzo thrill ride. Don't like that. Gonzo thrill ride. So you get Game of Death 2, as well as the Hong Kong theatrical cut, which was Tower of Death. Brand new feature commentary by Frank Jen and Michael Worth, co-producers of Enter the Clones of Bruce Lee, all about the pretenders to the throne, including a young Jackie Chan when he was doing New Fist of Fury. Archival interview with Roy Horan, Korean version with unique footage, alternate US video version, alternate credit sequence. So again, absolutely stacked, but I'm in this a bit as much as Bruce Lee is, to be honest. Okay, he's in it a little bit. They had a little bit of footage. The Man and the Legend and the Legend. So 2 documentaries that have been previously released, but again, this set's all about becoming as close to definitive as it can be. So these are the 2 official Golden Harvest documentaries on Bruce Lee. I think this is Bluray only, if I remember right. Yes, indeed. Straight from the studio's archives. The Man and the Legend was released months after he died. They did not hang about. Again, Bruceploitation is a real thing. Featuring footage in Hong Kong and the United States, including both his funerals. The documentary takes you inside Lee's home, and I don't like it. I remember the first time I saw it, and it was like, no, this is creepy. This is a bit much. I don't want to see grieving widow and orphan children, and knowing what happened to Brandon especially. And I don't want to see the funerals, and I don't want to snoop around his house. That's pure exploitation. Then a decade later, we got The Legend, which was much more about his actual work, and it had Raymond Chow and Nora Miao and others. But we do have an alternate video of The Legend with different editing and credits. That's standard def. And a tour of Golden Harvest Studios from the mid-90s with Russell Cawthorne, who wrote Bruce Lee: The Legend, and alternate animated credits for Enter the Dragon from Hong Kong. So still cool stuff, but again, you kind of reach a place where it's like, exploitation can be fun, but this guy was barely in the ground when they were already going, right, how can we really make some money out of him? The book. Wow. How many pages is give us a page count? 100, and that's 200 pages on the button. So let's just contents alone. Contents alone. We won't go through everything. Film notes take up to 100 pages, just about all the different discs we've gone through there. The early films of Bruce Lee, the Rise of Golden Harvest, Dreams of Little Dragon, none of that. And Dragon, the Bruce Lee story nonsense about the demons stalking me through my life. Bruce Lee versus the BBFC, which that'll be a good read, because for anyone overseas who isn't aware, the BBFC banned nunchucks. We couldn't see them in this country legally, and you couldn't say the word ninja, or if you could, it had to be a 15 or an 18. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles over here was Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. What? In case you decide to become a ninja overnight. Bruce Lee Golden Harvest, a viewing guide by James Flower. If you want Asian cinema, go to James. And then 4 pages on the restoration, credits and special thanks. So all sorts of stuff. You know the kind of quality you're going to get from them here. Right, so loads of reading, loads of looking, loads of appreciating, loads of postering. Next up, poster. We know it's deluxe now. Remember the rule? It's only deluxe if it's got a poster or a postcard. So we have Way of the Dragon, if I can read upside down. Yes, indeed. Way of the Dragon. And then reversible. I always think, why do you do them reversible? If I wanted to frame that, that would mean I now lose one of them. And then Big Boss. Way of the Dragon is the one that's got the fight scene with Chuck Norris, where they take about 20 minutes to get ready. All that kind of stuff. Bruce Lee is dynamite. Rudy Ray Moore is dolomite. But Bruce Lee is dynamite. So this, I've kind of intentionally avoided going back and seeing what's in this. And I've not looked at any videos, so this is all, oh wow, it's like 1.5 million cards. Let's count them. Yep, it is actually exactly 1.5 million. That is quite uncanny. Right, Game of Death. Okay. Right, I've opened them the wrong way. No, they put them in the folder the wrong way. Right way up. Big Boss. And you get the relevant poster art in the back. So it's all the same poster for each film. So Big Boss ones all have the same poster in the back. It's the front that changes. See, in case you think I'm lying. Didn't interview the dog for this box set, so I'm going to take a few points off. I appreciate some of these original lobby cards, so you just have to go with them, but some of them, why did you use a bloody picture? I mean, to imply motion? I mean, use that kind of thing. That's Bruce. That's Bruce. And that's the Fist of Fury one, by the way. Yeah, Way the Dragon's badass. Hey, there we go. Whoa! I didn't think there would be this many cards. That's kind of vintage Bruce behind the scenes shot, isn't it? That's what we'll think of as Bruce looking cool with the Nehru suits and the sunglasses and things. So I noticed there's no Enter the Dragon here either. So it looks as if Warner's wouldn't even let them include any kind of supplementary material, even postcards from Enter the Dragon. And the 4K that's coming out for Enter the Dragon, it's going to have all that. It's going to have the postcards and poster and blah blah blah. But it's not going to have any new extras. It's the same extras that were on the 40th anniversary. Just the film's going to be in 4K and there's going to be some new postcards and things. So it really is a shame that Arrow weren't allowed access to do it properly, but I'm making a right pig's ear of this. Oh, there we go. It's tighter than a bee's backside, it really is. Right. And last up, some photos it looks like. Oh. So much plastic. I don't hate the environment, they really do, they absolutely hate it. Oh wow, it's actual photo stock. This isn't postcards just supposed to be, this is actual photo stock. Wow, this is really nice. Wow, I'm impressed by photographs. I suppose in a very digital era, seeing a photograph is quite impressive. A wee cheeky one over the shoulder that says, that girl. And there you go, that's the BBFC thought this was the epitome of evil. What's that he's got in his hand? Some kind of a weapon that you could use to attack someone with. We can't have that. Knives and guns, no problem. But this weird thing from Asia that we don't know about, ban it. Ban it straight away, burn it with fire. There you go. So, photoshopped this one, that's actually my body, and they've just put Bruce Lee's head on it. So there you go. That is, I'll look at the actual set itself. I'm really looking forward to digging into all the different versions. I'm perfectly prepared to be a little bit pissed off at them in places, because some of them, as I mentioned, I think they're far too exploitative. But that is part of the Bruce Lee legacy now as well. I mean, it's been gone for so long that Bruceploitation itself is part of his actual legacy. So, you know, I mean, even Jackie Chan, there's Jackie Exploitation. I've got a Bluray that's 10 films, and it's Jackie Exploitation, and Jackie's still bloody with us. So people were ripping off Jackie Chan, who was in his early days ripping off Bruce Lee. So nothing new under the sun. I like this postcard package, but it is so bloody tight. So bloody tight. Right, there you go then, sure. Is it all back together? Apart from that sticking, I'll fix that in a second. So plenty of watching there. I'm sure this is going to be in contention for a lot of end of year lists, because there's so much on it. It's the definitive look at Bruce Lee's output. It makes the old Bruce Lee the Master box set look trite, and it blows the Criterion out the water in terms of what it includes. And obviously being 4K, it's going to look stunning. The films always have, since they've got the original negatives at Golden Harvest. It's one thing they were good at, is film preservation, probably because they did lose Bruce so young. They were introduced to the idea of film archive material sooner than a lot of outlets were. A lot of production companies weren't thinking that way, but they had to think that way because we need to make money out of Bruce Lee. He died on us tragically. So yeah, and I'm glad to say, from looking at it, there's nothing on here about bloody conspiracy theories and who did it. Who did it? It was the triads. They didn't like what he was doing. Oh no, it was kung fu masters. There was a group of kung fu masters who didn't like him taking the ways of kung fu to the world. Oh, God Almighty. Oh, it was a curse. It was an actual curse. That's just like Dragon, the Bruce Lee story said. It was an actual curse. That's why Brandon got shot as well. It was a curse. No, not everything's a conspiracy. Sometimes shit happens, and who are you going to call? It's a line from Ghostbusters too. Right, I'll leave you there. So yeah, see, I don't do these just here's everything from scratch unboxings very often, but this is a Bruce Lee 4K box set. I needed it, so folks, I'll be back soon. Stay very safe out there. I'll have the new microphone hopefully for next time, and yeah, do whatever you want to do. I've kind of lost the knack of sending off these things now, and I now just kind of let them evaporate into the air like condensation or something, you know. Oh well. Until next time, my friends. Until next time.